Pulse of the Eastern Caribbean, VON Radio, from the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis.
From the VON Newsline, this is the VON Major Newscast.
Good evening, I am Tammy Reed in with your VON Major News package for today, Friday, 25th January 2019. In our lead stories nationally, National Weight Loss Campaign set to be launched on Nevis, and a national record system to provide patient information for universal health care. Regionally, Juan Guaido hints at amnesty for Maduro as Venezuela crisis continues. Internationally, Trump ally Roger Stone arrested on 7 Mueller probe charges. And in sports, Jason Holder double and Shane Down-Richton give West Indies 627-run lead against England. We'll have the details to these and other stories after this message.
Another look.
Different from how you've seen it before.
Another look.
Takes an in-depth look into business, politics, science, technology, religion, and more.
Another look.
Featuring documentaries from the BBC, regional features, and local ones too.
Another look.
Every Monday at 3 p.m. on the Eastern Caribbean's Powerhouse.
Wrong.
Welcome back, and now the national news in detail. Be the change. That is what a national weight loss campaign to be launched here in Nevis is being dubbed. The campaign is slated to be launched on Saturday, 26 January 2019. The initiative is being undertaken by the Fit Wellness Center in collaboration with the Ministry of Health. Manager of the Fit Wellness Center, Mr. David Walwyn, noted that the campaign is geared towards combating non-communicable diseases.
We are plagued with all forms of non-communicable disease. That's not a new issue. I'm sure everybody by now knows that there's a health epidemic in respect to non-communicable disease. And so what this campaign is aimed to do is to try to combat the rise of these non-communicable disease. So ideally, we are getting everyone to sign up, and collectively, we'll set a number. We don't know what that number is, but in my head, I'm thinking I would like to have at least 100,000 pounds, the collective number that everyone contributes to lose island-wide.
The event is slated to take place at the Fit Park at Bath Plains, Nevis.
Once we've gotten all the registrants, we'll all assemble at the Fit Park where we'll have a full launch, and full details of the weight loss program will be given in terms of diet, what is expected, how they can access the online portal. We'll also do weight, vital statistics as well, because we're gathering data. So the idea is that at the end of this 6-month campaign, we want to show that we've made a significant impact in the rise of non-communicable disease and obesity.
Mr. David Walwyn. Individuals can register online at fitnevis.website. Data from the Health Information Unit in St. Kitts and Nevis shows that non-communicable diseases, NCDs, is the leading cause of death in the Federation, accounting for 83% of mortality among the population. A national record system will be implemented as part of the rollout of the Universal Healthcare Coverage System to ensure the smooth transfer of information between medical practitioners in the Federation. Chairperson of the St. Kitts and Nevis National Commission for Universal Health Care, Azela Clark, says that this system will be the database of baseline medical information for each citizen or resident. She said there is a need to move away from the issue of self-reporting and give the doctors access, which she says will help to reduce misinformation and underreporting of illnesses and will assist the medical practitioners to give a more informed diagnosis. Ms. Clark noted the system will be both electronic and paper, and a physical structure will be implemented to manage issues of privacy, data collection, and processing. She said the patient must give written permission for medical practitioners to gain access to the private files. She added that each medical practitioner will have a unique access code for the system that will permit appropriate oversight to reduce malpractice and misuse of information. A grievance and appeals committee will be set up within the National Healthcare Insurance structure to hear any cases of misconduct or otherwise that may arise. It's time to end cervical cancer. That's the theme for Cervical Cancer Awareness Month, which is observed annually in January. It is a chance to raise awareness about how women can protect themselves from human papilloma virus, HPV, and cervical cancer. As part of the observance, the community health nursing services within the Ministry of Health here on Nevis will be hosting a free pap smear screening program on Saturday, January 26 from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. at all the health centers on the island. Coordinator of Community Health Nursing Services, Nurse Ermin Jeffers, gives us more.
We know that we have persons in our community who work from Monday to Friday, and they aren't able to access the services at the health center in terms of to do a pap smear. So we are opening on Saturday so that we can accommodate those persons. We started it in 2017, and this year, 2019, will be our third year.
Coordinator of Community Health Nursing Services, Nurse Ermin Jeffers. Wednesday, January 30th, 2019 is the deadline set for persons to sign up for the Canada Caribbean Seasonal Agriculture Workers Program, CCSAWP 2019. Last year, 14 St. Kitts and Nevis citizens participated in the CCSAWP, and officials are hoping to see more sign up this year. The number of farms that recruit overseas workers is limited, which makes assignments very competitive. This means that workers interested in participating must apply as soon as possible at the Department of Labor. Applicants must be unemployed and be between 25 and 50 years old, have an agricultural background, have no physical impediments, and be in good health. Individuals must also have no paramilitary, military or security training, have no criminal record, and does not use illegal substances or drugs. The ability to satisfy Canadian immigration laws is also important. Documents to be submitted include 2 valid forms of identification, a police record, and a birth certificate. Interested applicants are invited to visit the office of the Department of Labor on Victoria Road on St. Kitts or email skndol@gov.kn. Individuals here on Nevis interested in pursuing tertiary education are once again being given the opportunity to do so. The Ministry of Human Resources in the Nevis Island Administration is informing the general public that Romania will be offering 85 scholarships for higher education studies in 10 focus areas. These areas are political and administrative, education sciences, Romanian culture and civilization, journalism, technical studies, oil and gas, agricultural sciences, veterinary medicine, architecture, and visual arts. For detailed information on prerequisites and application procedures, individuals can visit http://www.mae.ro/en/node/10251. Interested persons must apply to the Romanian Embassy in Havana, Cuba by March 1st, 2019. In police news, an autopsy was performed on the body of 28-year-old Jelani Liebert on Wednesday, January 23rd by forensic pathologist Dr. Valerie Alexandrov. The Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis recorded its first homicide on Tuesday, January 22nd, when Liebert died from gunshot wounds he sustained on January 1st, 2019. 22-year-old Keon Moore, who was also with Liebert at the time, was shot in the stomach and head. Liebert's cause of death was found to be as a result of gunshot wounds to the body. As investigations continues, persons with information about the incident are urged to contact the Violent Crimes Unit at 662-1023. Elsewhere, Isaiah Richen of East Street, St. Kitts, was charged for the offenses of possession of firearm and possession of ammunition in relation to a firearm and ammunition seized by police. The firearm, which was seized by police early Saturday morning, January 19th, was the first illegal firearm found for the year. Police said during an early morning search operation, one Smith & Wesson pistol with 5 rounds of ammunition were found in a vehicle along Victoria Road. 2 persons were taken into custody in relation to the find. Still in police news, an investigation is underway into a traffic accident that occurred along the island's main road in New Guinea, St. Kitts on Wednesday, January 23rd. The accident involved motor omnibus H8821, which is owned and was being driven by Glenford Henry of Saddlers, and motor omnibus HA374, owned and driven by Desmond Connor of St. Paul's. Police reports say HA374 was traveling from Bastia to St. Paul's and collided with the front of H8821. Both vehicles were extensively damaged. Officers from the St. Kitts and Nevis Fire and Rescue Services were called to the scene. They used the jaws of life and other rescue tools to free persons who were trapped in both buses. 6 persons were taken to the hospital, while 2 persons remain hospitalized and are in a stable condition. Meantime, police continue to investigate the circumstances surrounding matter of 19-year-old DeAndre Farrell, who was reported missing but subsequently returned home on Wednesday, January 23rd. The police would like to thank persons who contacted them to assist with the situation. Finally, following the unrest in Venezuela and Venezuelan opposition leader Juan Guaido declaring himself interim president on Wednesday, 23rd January, the heads of government of Caribbean Community CARICOM held an emergency meeting. The meeting was held via video conference on Thursday, 24th January 2019, and was chaired by the head of CARICOM and Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis, Dr. the Honorable Timothy Harris. During that meeting, the organizational body issued a statement which reads, "Heads of government are following closely the current unsatisfactory situation in Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela and neighboring Caribbean country. They expressed grave concern about the plight of the people of Venezuela and the increasing volatility of the situation brought about by recent developments which could lead to further violence, confrontation, breakdown of law and order, and greater suffering for the people of the country. Heads of government reaffirm their guiding principles of non-interference and non-intervention in the affairs of states, respect for sovereignty, adherence to the rule of law, and respect for human rights and democracy. Heads of government reiterated that the long-standing political crisis, which has been exacerbated by recent events, can only be resolved peacefully through meaningful dialogue and diplomacy. In this regard, heads of government offered their good offices to facilitate dialogue among all parties to resolve the deepening crisis. Reaffirming their commitment to the tenets of Article 2.4 of the United Nations Charter, which called for member states to refrain from the threat or the use of force, and Article 21 of the Charter of the Organization of American States, which refers to territorial inviolability, the heads of governments emphasized the importance of the Caribbean remaining a zone of peace. Heads of government called on external forces to refrain from doing anything to destabilize the situation and underscore the need to step back from the brink and call on all actors, internal and external, to avoid actions which could escalate an already explosive situation to the detriment of the people of Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela, and which could have far-reaching negative consequences for the wider region. It was also decided during the meeting that Prime Minister Harris would seek an urgent meeting with the United Nations Secretary General to request the UN's assistance in resolving the issue. That's it for the national news segment. You can visit our website at www.bonnyradio.com or check us out on Facebook at Bonny Radio and our Bonny Radio YouTube channel. News from across the region is next.
Home. It means something different to everyone. It's a place you love, a place as unique as you are, a place where you can be yourselves, a place for life's big surprises, and not to mention the small ones. Moments to cherish and moments that last a lifetime. It's a place for nurture and a place where you can grow together. It's home. So whether you're building, purchasing, or renovating, the Bank of Nevis is here to open the door, giving you the confidence to dream and the help you need to get there with a mortgage loan from the Bank of Nevis. The Bank of Nevis Limited, improving the quality of life.
Welcome back, and now the regional news in detail. Out of Venezuela. Venezuelan opposition leader Juan Guaido has said he would consider an amnesty for President Nicolas Maduro if he succeeds power. Mr. Guaido, who declared himself interim president on Wednesday, said he was reaching out to all sectors, including the military, to end the crisis. Mr. Maduro began a second term after polls marred by an opposition boycott and vote-rigging claims. The global community is split on whether to recognize his government, but so far Mr. Maduro retains the crucial support of Venezuela's military. On Monday, 21st January 2019, the Judicial Reform and Institutional Strengthening Juris Project, in collaboration with the High Court of Justice in Antigua and Barbuda, created history when it officially opened the Sexual Offenses Model Court, SOMC. The Juris Project is a multi-year regional Caribbean judicial reform initiative funded under an agreement with the Government of Canada and being implemented by the Caribbean Court of Justice, CCJ. Located in St. John's, Antigua, the SOMC is intended to help remedy the deficiencies in the court's current handling of sexual offense cases. These shortcomings were identified in a 2016 baseline study commissioned by the Juris Project and undertaken by UN Women. The deficiencies in the court's handling of sexual assault cases contribute to high attrition rates in the justice chain for sexual offenses, as well as to sexual offenses having very low conviction rates in comparison to all other crimes. Out of Jamaica, murder convict and disgraced cop Collis Chucky Brown is scheduled to be sentenced today, Friday 25th January, at the Home Circuit Court in downtown Kingston. Brown was found guilty of murder on November 15, 2018. He was indicted on charges stemming from the 2009 murder of Daimoy Gotti Dawkins and the 2012 killings of Dwayne Douglas and Andrew Fearon in Clarendon. It was alleged that Brown, a constable, shot and killed Dawkins along the Palmer's Cross Main Road in Clarendon on January 10, 2009. Brown was also accused of fatally shooting Douglas and Fearon along the Swansea Main Road on December 13, 2012 in the same parish. His sentences was previously scheduled for December 20, 2018 and January 3, 2019. Finally, out of Suriname, the government of India and the CARICOM Development Fund, CDF, signed a contribution agreement on Saturday, January 19, 2019 in Paramaribo, Suriname, which provides for a grant allocation of US $1 million to the CDF's capital fund. India becomes the latest international development partner to have established formal ties with the CDF during its second contribution and sub-convention cycle, which runs from 2015 to 2020, and this comes on the heels of recent celebration of the 10th anniversary of the establishment of the CDF, which became operational in November 2008. These resources will support implementation of the CDF's mandate to provide financial and technical assistance to disadvantaged countries, regions, and sectors within CARICOM in accordance with Article 158 of the revised Treaty of Chaguaramas establishing the Caribbean Community, including CARICOM Single Market and Economy, CSME. The funds will be allocated towards programs in CDF member countries in one or more of four thematic areas, namely renewable energy and energy efficiency, sector-specific physical infrastructure to facilitate private sector trade and investment and resilience building, concessional financing for SMEs, and human resource development. That's it for our regional stories. Stay with us for news around the world. Welcome back, and now the international news in detail. Political strategist Roger Stone, a longtime ally of President Trump, has been arrested in Florida, charged with 7 counts in the Mueller probe. Mr. Stone will appear in court later in the city of Fort Lauderdale. The indictment includes 1 count of obstruction of an official proceeding, 5 counts of false statements, and 1 count of witness tampering. The charges are linked to an alleged Russian-led hack into the emails of Democratic Party officials. Jonathan Marcus reports.
Roger Stone is a controversial, flamboyant figure, a political strategist who began his career working on Richard Nixon's re-election campaign in 1972. He is a longtime friend of Donald Trump and is renowned for his contacts among conservative political circles. Mr. Stone is charged with 1 count of obstruction of an official proceeding, 5 counts of false statements, and 1 count of witness tampering. The charges are linked to the alleged Russian-led hack into the Democratic Party's emails. These indictments show that Robert Mueller's investigation is advancing at a steady pace, drawing in more and more of the president's associates.
The UN Human Rights Commissioner has warned of the danger that the ongoing crisis in Venezuela might rapidly spiral out of control with what she called catastrophic consequences. Michelle Bachelet called for an independent investigation into the alleged use of excessive force by the security forces. Robert Colvin is her spokesperson.
We have received information from credible local sources that at least 20 people have died after allegedly being shot by security forces or by members of pro-government armed groups during demonstrations on Tuesday and Wednesday, with many others reported injured by bullets, buckshot, and rubber bullets.
Leading right groups have called on Saudi Arabia to allow independent access to detainees, including women's rights campaigners and prominent figures arrested in anti-corruption drives. Sebastian Usher reports.
More than a dozen Saudi activists, most of them women, have been detained since last May, while a few top businessmen and princes remain in prison, more than a year after an anti-corruption purge was launched. No independent access has been granted to any of them, even as allegations have emerged of mistreatment, including sexual abuse, electrocution and flogging. Now, Amnesty and Human Rights Watch are demanding access for monitors to meet the detainees and assess their situation. Just this week, several top businessmen were quietly released, but there's no sign as yet that any of the activists will be freed.
Finally, Greek MPs have voted narrowly to back a historic agreement with Macedonia, bringing to an end a 27-year dispute over its northern neighbor's name. The parliament in Athens agreed by 153 votes to 146 votes to approve the name Republic of North Macedonia despite widespread opposition from the public. Thousands demonstrated outside Parliament on Thursday night. Greeks have rejected Macedonia's name since its independence in 1991, as they have a region of the same name. Opposition to the deal is strongest in the northern Greek region of Macedonia, but polls suggest more than 60% of Greeks dislike it. That brings us to the end of the news segments. The latest in sports is next.
Most of us spend the better part of each weekday at the workplace. So why not make your office environment the kind of setting that helps you function at your personal best by outfitting it with top quality furniture, high-end photocopiers, printers, versatile office supplies, and the latest technology. The friendly and knowledgeable staff at the TDC Business Center are happy to provide you with personalized service to help you create an office space that's the total package. TDC Business Center, providing solutions that work.
Welcome back. Another sports in detail. In cricket, an unbeaten double century by Jason Holder as teammate Shane Dunwich reached his turn has given West Indies a 627-run lead over England on day 3 of the first test in Barbados. After a thrilling day 2 when 18 wickets fell and England were bowled out for just 77, the tourists went wicketless through more than 2 sessions on the third day as Holder brought up his score of 202 with a 4 of Keaton Jennings before finally declaring with his side 415 for 6 in their second innings. Dulwich played the perfect supporting role to reach 116 not out. Day 2 was a raucous party, and on day 3, Holder and Dulwich played the parts of the hardiest revelers, intent on hanging around because they don't want the fun to end. They carved out an unbroken 229-run partnership after the bowling of West Indies quick Kamar Roach, who claimed 5 for 17, had left England devastated. Summarized scores: West Indies 289 and 415 declared for 6. Holder 202, Dulwich 116. Lead England 77, Jennings 17, Roach 5 for 17 by 627 runs. Finally, in tennis, top seed Novak Djokovic set up a tantalizing Australian Open final against Rafael Nadal by thrashing Lucas Pouille in a one-sided semi-final. The Serb 31 needed just 1 hour and 23 minutes to win 6-0, 6-2, 6-2. Djokovic broke serve 7 times as he outclassed 24-year-old Frenchman Pouille, seeded 28th and in his first Grand Slam semi-final. Djokovic and Spaniard Nadal, who have 31 Grand Slam titles between them, meet on Sunday. That's it for the sports segment. The general weather forecast is next. Welcome back, and now the local weather forecast for St. Kitts and Nevis. Weather tonight fair to partly cloudy and cool conditions with a 20% or slight chance of a brief shower. Weather tomorrow partly sunny in general with a 20% or slight chance of an early morning shower. Winds east-northeast at 26 to 37 kilometers per hour or 14 to 20 knots with higher gusts over open waters. Seas combination of waves and swells reaching 2.1 to 2.8 meters or 7 to 9 feet. Advisories remain in effect for small craft operators and sea bathers, mainly in coastal waters to the north and east of the islands. Sunrise tomorrow is at 6:44 a.m. And that's how we wrap up the major news package for today, Friday, 25th January 2019. Before we go, let's take a look at the headlines once again. Nationally, National Weight Loss Campaign set to be launched on Nevis, and a national record system to provide patient information for universal health care. Regionally, Juan Guaido hints at amnesty for Maduro as Venezuela crisis continues. Internationally, Trump ally Roger Stone arrested on 7 Mueller probe charges. And in sports, Jason Holder double and Shane Don-Richton gave West Indies 627-run lead against England. On behalf of the rest of the news team, I am Tammy Reed wishing you a safe and enjoyable weekend.